Hey up everyone, Magpie Gaming here. I hope you're all doing well. So how have you been enjoying the dynamic loot that is in the game at the moment? So if you aren't aware, on Friday Battlestate Games put a little statement out to say that they were going to test dynamic loot within the game. This would be a series of events that would be taking place where they would mess around with the loot and try to make it more dynamic. So basically what that means is that the loot tables are expanded so that in areas where you would expect to find, say, a GPU and a LED-X, other things are going to be able to spawn there as well, and whether it's expensive items or TAT, it doesn't really stipulate. So I've been playing this weekend. I haven't hit any marked rooms, so I don't know what's changed with marked rooms. I think you still get good gear spawning in them, it's just the variety of the good gear is being expanded. But I do a specific sort of loot run on customs. I'll load in as my scav and I'll pick an extract, and between where I spawn in and that extract I will hit every ground cache on the way or point of interest on the way. And I've noticed that it's been very hit or miss with the ground caches. Usually there will always be at least one item in them. Every now and again you'll get maybe one or two that have nothing in, but what I've been finding is that I'll maybe have 3 or 4 that have absolutely nothing in, and then the next one that I come to will maybe have 2 paracords in, a cat statue, some armor in it. It's very much sort of all or nothing at the moment. I've found a GPU in a ground cache this weekend, so I've been finding a lot of armor and a lot of more expensive items such as paracords and temperature gauges, things like that, things that can pull 30-40 grand on the market. I've been finding a lot of those items, so I haven't found it to be too much of a put off playing the game, them changing this, whereas a lot of people have said I'm not going to be messed about if I can't go to certain areas and farm certain things. But I think this is the way the game is going. I think that's what they want to get to, where loot is very much randomized. And yes, it hits players where it hurts. If you need certain items for a certain quest, you're not always going to be able to go to a certain place to pick those up now. But at the same time, those people that farm this game for those items to sell in the real world are going to struggle as well. So I think it's sort of a double-edged sword. It's going to be probably something that us as players are just going to have to get used to. But my overall experience this weekend is that loot hasn't been too hard to find. It's still in all of the usual areas, and there still seems to be quite a lot of it. And today they have increased global loot by 22%, so I've been informed. So there must be, or there should be, even more loot out there now. And I've done a couple of scav runs just to test that, and there just seems to be quite a lot of loot out there anyway. So I don't think things have changed too much. But the other thing I wanted to talk about in this video was the marked rooms. Obviously marked rooms are always in the same place, and we all know where to go to find them. We all know that if we go to these areas we're going to get into PvP, so we tend to sort of avoid them, or we go straight to them depending on how your playstyle is. But it's very much monotonous with these rooms being in the same place. Now earlier in the year I watched a video by another YouTuber, and I can't for the life of me remember who it was, but they talked about procedurally generating these high value loot rooms within the game. Now procedural generation is probably not something that Battlestate Games are going to put into the game anytime soon. Not saying that they are capable of engineering procedural generation in the game, but I think it's probably just too much of a task for them to bother with right now. But for instance, let's take the marked room on customs. It's on the third story in the large dorms, and you know that you go down to the bottom of the corridor and it's the last door on the right. But let's say for instance you spawn into a raid and all of a sudden it's on the ground floor in small story dorms. It's been moved. So I think some sort of system like that should be maybe employed, sort of to move these marked rooms around to different places. Now I know that a lot of not all the maps have a marked room, but they do have sort of high value loot rooms in them. Shoreline for one, Reserve's got its marked rooms as well. But what if they were moved around into a different area? Now I'm not talking about procedural generation, as I say. I think that'd be too much to engineer on Battlestate Games' part. But when you open into a raid, it's all planned out and there for you. So what if Battlestate Games were to copy the customs layout but move the marked room to somewhere else? And maybe they could do this 3 or 4 times, and in the end we would end up with, say, maybe 4 or 5 different versions of the customs map where the marked room is moved to a different area. Your key, the same key still used, it still opens it, you don't need a different key or anything like that. But then when you go to log into a customs raid, the server will pick one of those 5 custom raids to put you and the other PMCs into. So every time you spawn in, you're not necessarily going to know exactly where the marked room is. place. In the instance that you spawn in, it might still be on third story dorms, but in the next instance you spawn in, it might be somewhere completely different. So I'd like to see some sort of system put into place like that moves around these high value loot rooms. It kind of forces people into different areas of the map that they maybe not generally go to. It'll force PvP and PvE in different areas of the map where you maybe haven't experienced it before, and it just shakes things up and freshens things up a little bit on the maps. I don't think it'd be too hard of a system for like Battlestate to implement. Like I say, they're just cutting and pasting exactly the same map. All they're doing is getting the server to choose a different iteration of the map when it logs you in. So you could move the rooms to 5, 6, 7, 10 different locations and have 5, 6, 7, 10 different versions of the map, and every time you log in it just puts you on a different one. So I'd love to see some sort of system like that put in place. And that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about in this video. I think there's definitely a lot more changes to come with loot in the game. They're definitely playing about with it. No doubt they'll be looking at the data that they've gathered from over the weekend. As far as I know, this event is still ongoing. It hasn't been reverted back. All they've done up to now, from what I know, is increased the amount of loot that is out there. So we'll have to see how this one plays out. But let me know down in the comment section below how you found your sort of loot situation over the last few days. Has it improved? Has it got worse? Do you think it's a bad system? Do you think it's a good system? Let me know what you think about my idea as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching and listening. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Stay safe, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.